I can't do next Monday. Saying this during a project meeting can sound completely fine, or it can make you look like you're just avoiding work.
It all comes down to how you phrase it, Emily. In a global team, we don't just speak English to exchange facts. We speak to show our reliability, especially when plans change.
Exactly. Today, we're breaking down 5 essential meetings that define your work week. We start with the weekly kickoff to organize your tasks without sounding overwhelmed.
Then the project alignment to handle tight deadlines, followed by the status update, where you'll learn to report bad news without sounding like you're complaining.
We'll also cover brainstorming to defend your ideas when others disagree. And finally, the one-on-one meeting to talk about your career growth with your manager.
Let's jump straight into our first situation, the Monday morning kickoff.
Let's think about your typical Monday morning. The weekend is over, you have a long list of things to do, and now you have to sit down with your team to plan the week.
This is the weekly kickoff. Many people make the mistake of reading out a long list of every single tiny task they did last week. That makes everyone lose attention very quickly.
Right, Marcus. The goal here is to show you are organized and proactive. You only need to focus on 2 things: your main result from last week and your big priority for this week.
Let's listen to how Sarah presents her weekly update to her team lead, David. Notice how she highlights her progress while professionally bringing up a potential delay.
Good morning, Sarah. Let's get started. How is the client onboarding program looking for this week?
Morning, David. The welcome guide is complete and already sent to the client. This week, my main focus is setting up the training session for their team on Wednesday.
Great. Do you need any support with that training?
I think we are fully prepared. However, we are still waiting on the client's final RSVP list. If they don't share it by noon, I might need to adjust the interactive activities, but the core session will go ahead as planned.
Understood. Keep me updated on that. Let's keep this moving.
Notice how Sarah didn't sound panicked, even though she is waiting on the client. She presented a clear backup plan, showing she has everything under control.
Exactly. And when she said, "My main focus is setting up the training session," she used a highly professional phrase. Instead of saying, "I have to do this" or "my job is that," using "my main focus is" makes you sound active and strategic.
She also used the phrase "go ahead as planned." This is a solid way to reassure your manager that a minor roadblock won't stop the project from moving forward.
Now, instead of just repeating after us, let's do a quick 3-second upgrade challenge. We will give you a weak basic sentence, and your job is to upgrade it using the 2 professional phrases we just learned.
Ready? Challenge number 1. How do you upgrade this boring sentence? Today, I have to write the monthly report. Use main focus. You have 3 seconds. Great. You should say, today, my main focus is finalizing the monthly report. Hear the difference? It sounds active and professional. Challenge number 2. Your boss is worried about a delay, and you want to say, don't worry, the meeting will not be canceled. How do you upgrade it? Using go ahead as planned. Go! Perfect. The executive way to say it is, don't worry, the meeting will go ahead as planned.
Excellent work. Upgrading your vocabulary under pressure is how you build real workplace confidence.
But what happens when the week gets busy and your team leader asks you to take on a new task with a deadline that seems almost impossible to meet?
That is where we often get nervous. We want to say no, but we don't want to sound lazy. Let's look at how we can talk about tight deadlines and agree on realistic expectations in our next scenario.
When a new project starts, everyone is usually excited, but that excitement can turn into worry when you look at the timeline.
Yes, we have all been there. Your manager shows you a list of tasks and says, "We need this done by Thursday." Your heart sinks because you know it realistically takes double that time to do it right.
If you just say, no, that's impossible, you might look like you are not a team player. But if you say yes, just to please your manager, you will end up delivering poor quality work, or worse, failing the deadline anyway.
So, how do we handle this pressure? Let's listen to how Sarah negotiates a tight timeline with David. Notice how she uses quality and team readiness, not complaints, to request a realistic adjustment.
Sarah, now that we have the client requirements, we need the first draft of the marketing campaign by Thursday afternoon. Can we make that happen?
Thursday's a bit tight, David. We want to make sure the copy is fully polished. If we push the draft to Friday morning, my team will have enough time to review the design and run a quick test. Would that work?
Friday morning is doable, but it doesn't leave us much time for revisions before the client review on Monday. I'm worried we will be rushed.
I understand your concern. If we deliver the draft by Friday at 9 a.m., we can handle any quick adjustments by Friday afternoon. That way, we secure the quality without rushing the initial design.
Okay, let's go with Friday morning. But please make sure the design team is ready to go as soon as you finish the text.
Will do. I'll align with them right after this.
That was a very clean negotiation. Sarah didn't argue. She focused on the quality of the work to justify why she needed more time.
Exactly. She used a very polite but firm phrase. Thursday is a bit tight. This is a soft, diplomatic way to say no without actually using the word no.
And instead of just asking for more time, she offered a structured solution. If we deliver the draft by Friday, we can handle any quick adjustments. This shows she is still highly committed to the project's success.
Now, let's test your skills with our 3-second upgrade challenge. Let's see if you can upgrade your professional negotiation on the spot.
Challenge number 1. Your colleague asks you to finish a report in 2 hours. You want to say, no, that is too fast, I cannot do it. How do you upgrade it to sound diplomatic using the word tight? You have 3 seconds.
Excellent. You should say 2 hours is a bit tight, but I can get started on it now. See? You didn't say no, but you set a clear boundary.
Challenge number 2. You want to move a meeting to tomorrow so you have more time. Instead of saying, I want to delay the meeting to tomorrow, how do you upgrade it using push? Go.
Perfect. The professional way is, if we push the meeting to tomorrow, we will have more time to prepare. Great job. Training your brain to use these diplomatic structures under pressure is what makes your communication clear and professional.
But project timelines are not the only things that cause headaches. Sometimes the project is already running and you hit a sudden roadblock.
Yes, maybe another department is late with their data, and now your own report is delayed. How do you report this bad news to your team lead without looking like you are pointing fingers?
That is exactly what we will cover next, as we look at how to give a clear progress report when things are not going as planned. In a perfect business world, every department would finish their work on time. But in reality, you often have to wait for others before you can do your own job.
That's true, Emily. And when you sit down for a quick status update meeting, your manager just wants to know one thing. Is your work ready or not? If it is delayed because of someone else, you need to report it very carefully.
If you say, John from accounting didn't send me the file, so I couldn't do it, you sound like you are just blaming your teammates.
But if you don't say anything, your manager will think you are the one who is slow.
Let's listen to how Sarah handles this exact situation with David. Watch how she shares the bad news by focusing on the facts and presenting a solution right away.
Sarah, let's do a quick round of updates. How is the monthly budget report coming along? We need to share it with the directors tomorrow.
The internal data is ready, David. However, we are facing a short delay with the final figures from the finance team. I reached out to them this morning and they promised to send everything over by 2 o'clock.
That doesn't leave us much time. Can we still make the tomorrow deadline?
Yes, we can. My team has already prepared the template. As soon as finance shares the numbers, we just need about an hour to plug them in and do a final check. I will personally drop by their office at 2 if we don't receive it.
Good. Let's do that. Please let me know the moment you have the full file.
This is a great example of how to handle a delay. Sarah didn't get angry and she didn't attack the finance team. She simply stated the fact. We are facing a short delay.
Exactly. And notice how she immediately followed up with an action. She said, I reached out to them this morning. This tells David that she did not just sit there waiting for things to happen. She was already trying to solve the issue.
She also used a very practical phrase, plug them in. In the office, when you plug data in, it means you quickly insert numbers or words into a document that is already prepared. It sounds much more natural than saying input the data.
Another great everyday phrase is drop by. Saying, I will personally drop by their office sounds casual, but shows you are ready to take action to get the job done.
Now, let's practice these two useful phrases together. Speak them out loud during the pause to train your muscles.
Here is the first sentence. We are facing a short delay, but we should have it by noon.
We are facing a short delay, but we should have it by noon.
Now, let's try the second one. As soon as they send the numbers, we will plug them in.
As soon as they send the numbers, we will plug them in.
Well done. Keeping your voice calm and using these factual phrases will keep your team lead happy, even when things are running late.
Now, once you get the data and finish the report, you realize the results are not what the company expected. The team needs new ideas immediately to fix the sales numbers.
This means it's time for a group discussion to find new answers. But when people start sharing ideas, opinions will clash. How do you defend your own thoughts and disagree with others without creating tension in the room? Let's check out our next corporate scenario.
Brainstorming is easily one of the most exciting parts of working in a team, but it can also be very stressful when you don't agree with someone else's idea.
Absolutely. If you say, that's a bad idea, it won't work, you will make your coworker shut down. But if you just agree with everything because you want to be nice, the team might end up choosing a plan that fails.
So, how do you point out a flaw in a colleague's idea while keeping the conversation friendly and productive? Let's listen to David and Sarah. They are discussing two different ways to run their next marketing campaign.
Sarah, I think we should spend our entire remaining budget on social media ads this month. It's the fastest way to get more eyes on our product.
I see where you're coming from, David. It would definitely give us a quick boost. My only concern is that ad costs are very high right now. If we spend everything there, we won't have any budget left for email marketing, which usually gives us better long-term sales.
You have a point. But if we don't use ads, how do we get new people to see our product?
What if we split the budget? We could put 60% into ads to get immediate attention and keep the rest for our email campaign to bring back old customers. That way, we get the best of both sides.
That sounds like a much safer plan. Let's draft a quick budget split and see how the numbers look.
That was an incredibly smooth way to disagree. Sarah started by validating David's point before sharing her own thoughts.
Yes, she used a very friendly phrase. I see where you're coming from. This simply means I understand your opinion. It immediately lowers the tension because David feels heard.
And instead of saying, but that is too expensive, she said, my only concern is, this makes her objection sound like a calm observation rather than a direct attack.
She also used the phrase, what if we, to propose a middle ground. What if we split the budget is a great open question that invites cooperation.
Now, let's see how you handle a clash of opinions in our critical response challenge.
We will give you a scenario, and you have to reply professionally on the spot.
Challenge number 1. Your colleague wants to launch a new product feature this Friday, but you know the software still has bugs. Instead of saying, "No, it has too many errors, we can't launch," how do you start your reply using "I see where you're coming from" to lower the tension? You have 3 seconds.
Great job! You should say, I see where you're coming from, but my only concern is that we need more time to test the software.
Challenge number 2. A teammate wants to hire an expensive agency for a project. You want to suggest doing it in-house to save money. Instead of arguing, "An agency is a waste of money," how do you propose an alternative using "What if we go?"
Perfect. The executive response is, what if we use our internal team first to see how much progress we can make?
Using these phrases makes you look like a leader who wants to solve problems, not just win debates.
Now, after handling all those team dynamics, there is one last meeting that is entirely about you.
Exactly. The one-on-one performance review. This is where your career progression, your hard work, and your future in the company are discussed.
Many people dread this meeting because they are afraid of receiving criticism. But if you know how to handle feedback, you can turn this discussion into a great opportunity for your own growth. Let's look at how to master this final conversation.
Sitting down alone with your manager for a performance review can make your palms sweat. It is the one meeting where the focus is entirely on you, your work, your behavior, and your future.
Yes, Emily. And the most difficult part is usually hearing about your areas for improvement. If you get upset or start making excuses, you might close the door to future promotions.
But if you know how to listen and ask the right questions, you can show your manager that you are mature, ready to learn, and ready to take on more responsibility.
Let's listen to how Sarah handles her review with David. Pay close attention to how she receives feedback on a weak point and turns it into a clear plan for her career growth.
Sarah, overall, your work on the marketing campaign has been excellent. You are highly organized. However, I noticed that during team debates, you tend to stay quiet and let others dominate the conversation. I would like to see you speak up more.
Thank you for sharing that, David. To be honest, I sometimes worry about interrupting others when they are sharing their ideas. But I see your point, and I want to improve on this.
I appreciate your honesty. It's not about interrupting. It's about making sure your ideas are heard. Your team values your input.
Understood. Next week, I will make it a point to share at least 2 suggestions during our weekly morning update. If you notice any other areas where I can improve my leadership skills, please let me know.
That is a great starting point, Sarah. Let's review your progress on this in our next monthly catch-up.
Notice how Sarah didn't get upset. She admitted her fear of interrupting, but she immediately accepted the feedback and created a specific action plan.
Exactly. She used a very polite phrase to accept the feedback. I see your point. This is a clean way to show you agree with your manager's observation without feeling down.
She also used the phrase, make it a point to. When you make it a point to do something, it means you make a conscious effort to do it. It shows you are taking action, not just making promises.
And finally, she asked, if you notice any other areas where I can improve, please let me know. This shows a growth mindset. SEEPs love when employees actively ask how to get better.
Now, let's practice these 2 key phrases. Speak them out loud during the pause to build your confidence. Here is the first sentence. I see your point, and I want to work on this. I see your point, and I want to work on this. Now, let's try the second one. I will make it a point to send the report earlier next time. I will make it a point to send the report earlier next time.
Outstanding. Real growth at work happens when you can turn feedback into practice.
And now that we have covered all 5 types of meetings, it's time for our final part, the quick practice challenge to review everything you have learned today. Let's see how much you can recall.
Welcome to our quick practice challenge. We will give you a real office situation, and you will have 3 seconds to think of the best phrase to use. Ready? Let's start. Situation 1. It is Monday morning. Your manager asks about your plan for the week. How do you share your main goal? You can say, my main focus this week is setting up the training session. Situation 2. Your team leader gives you a task, but the deadline is too short. How do you request more time politely? You can say, Friday is a bit tight, but we can make it work.
Situation 3. Your work is delayed because you are waiting for another department. How do you report this fact without blaming them? You can say, we are facing a short delay, but we should have it by noon. Situation 4. You want to disagree with a colleague's idea during a brainstorming session without making them defensive. What do you say? You can say, I see where you're coming from, but we should check the cost first. Situation 5. Your manager gives you some feedback on an area you need to improve. How do you accept it professionally? You can say, I see your point and I want to work on this.
Excellent effort. If you could answer most of these, you are well on your way to becoming a much more confident communicator at work.
Remember, these conversations are models to help you get started. In the real world, every company culture is different, and every situation has its own unique details.
That's right, Marcus. This guide is a helpful reference, but you should always adjust your words based on your specific workplace, your relationship with your colleagues, and the context of the day.
Learning a language is not about overnight success. It is about small daily habits. Speaking with confidence comes from consistent practice and the discipline to try even when you feel nervous.
Do not worry about being perfect. Focus on being clear, being helpful, and showing up every day. If you found this video helpful, feel free to save it or listen to it as a podcast during your daily commute to keep practicing.
Thank you for joining us today.
Keep up the great work, stay consistent, and we will see you in our next session. Have a productive and wonderful work week. Bye for now.